How are you guys doing? Today is Monday, May 24th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, now that the 2020-2021 Ligue-1 season is officially over and in the books, I think I'm going to take this time to, of course, review the season as a whole, take a glance at how the table works, and understand how the seeding for French soccer this year will affect how a lot of soccer is going to be played in France next season. So, of course, I think a lot of that starts with understanding how the Ligue 1 works. The Ligue 1 is the best soccer league in France. It comprises of the best 20 teams in France, and there's a system that kind of works by. And I'll kind of understand it a little bit as it goes. Basically, because there's 20 teams in France, the schedule is situated so that every team can play every other team in Ligue 1 at home and on the road. So that's 19 games plus, or 19 times 2, so that's 38 games. You play every game at home and every game on the road because all schedules have the same strength, or every team has the same strength of schedule. There's no need for a playoff tournament to decide who is the champion of France if everyone's playing roughly the same season. They do have domestic tournaments where they have like single game elimination between them, the second, I'm pretty sure the third division of French teams. But regardless, it's kind of like hockey, where in soccer they have a point system in the standings to determine who had the best record if they're all playing the same season. The way they measure it is that if you were to win a game, you get 3 points added to your You get 3 points added to your total. If you draw or if you tie a game, it ends up only being 1, and if you lose, it's no games added to your total. It's counted up like that. It's tallied like that, so that say in a 2-game span, if you win if you win and lose, that's 3 points to your total, and if you draw twice, you get only 2 points. So of course, it makes wins more important, but it still gives you more for a lot. If you get a draw, it gives you more credit than if you were to lose. And long story short, if you were to take it and measure it over a 38-game season, the team with the most amount of points is the team that wins Ligue 1 at the end of the year. And at the same time, whoever finishes with the second most amount of points finishes second, third, fourth, so on and so forth. And at the very bottom, the very bottom 3 teams, or I guess starting ahead of the 3 teams, the top 17 teams in Ligue 1 that finish in the top 17, they have officially earned a spot to play in the Ligue 1 next season. The very bottom 3 are subjected to what's called relegation. The very 2 bottom teams are automatically dropped down to the second division of French football, which is the Ligue 2 or the Ligue 2. And the very top 2 teams in the Ligue 2 get moved up to the Ligue 1. And the 18th best team, or the third worst team in the Ligue 1, will have to play in a playoff game. They have to play one game against the third worst team in the Ligue 2. Whoever wins that game will earn a spot in the Ligue 1 next season. That's of course how this season works. So if you were and looking at the teams that actually did finish at the bottom, I'll show you how the math works. The very worst team in France was Dijon. They finished, in the 38 games they played, they finished with 4 wins, 9 draws, and 25 losses. They finished with 21 points on the season. Those 4 points would be, if you were to multiply them by 3, that's 12 wins. That's 12 points off of wins. Then they have 9 draws, so that's 9 points. So you add 12 plus 9, that's 21 points, which is how they finished the season as the worst team in France. The second worst team was Nîmes. Right ahead of them, they had 14 points. And then the team that's finished 18 is Nantes. Nantes will have to face off against the third best team in Ligue 2 to try to earn their spot back in Ligue 1 next season. But sitting ahead of them are the 11 teams that neither qualify, the 12 teams, because it's 6 through 17, the teams that qualify to play in the Ligue 1 next season, but did not qualify for a European continental tournament. 7th place went to Brest, who finished 1 point ahead of Nantes. So of course they don't have to play a relegation game to stay, but just barely. Sitting right ahead of them, 1 point ahead of them, you had 16th place Lorient, 15th place Strasbourg, and 14th place Reims. They all finished with 42 points in the table. Finishing 1 point ahead of all those 3 teams was 13th place Angers, who ended up losing to Lille in the last game of the season, giving Lille the title. 12th place went to Bordeaux, who finished 1 point ahead of Angers. 11th went to Saint-Étienne, who finished 1 point ahead of Bordeaux, and finishing one place ahead of them. And 10th place was Metz, who finished 1 place ahead of Saint-Étienne. 9th place went to Nice, as Nice finished 5 points ahead of Metz in the table. 8th place went to Montpellier, as Montpellier finished 2 points ahead of Nice. 7th place went to Lens, as Lens finished 3 points ahead of Montpellier. And Reims finished 1 point ahead of Lens. Yeah, a lot of these teams sound, a lot of them kind of sound like very similar, but I'm telling you, these are different teams. So the way that France works compared to the other seeds, in England, Spain, Italy, and Germany, the top 4 teams automatically make the Champions League, and then 5 and 6 make Europa League. In France, it's a little different. And so in France, the 4th and 5th seed teams automatically make the Europa group stage. So in this case, the 5th place went to Marseille after Marseille finished 2 points ahead of Reims, and then 4th place went to Lyon, Olympique Lyonnais, because they were at the top 4 was actually incredibly close. Lyonnais finished 16 points ahead of Marseille, but Lyonnais and Marseille they earned group stage positions in Europa League. Sitting right ahead of them in 3rd place is Monaco. Monaco is playing with the third spot in Ligue 1. They have to compete in what is essentially a Champions League qualifier. If they were to make it through the qualifier, they're the 3rd team from France to make it into Champions League. But if they don't, I believe they drop down to Europa League. That's how it works. And then only the top 2 teams in France automatically get a spot in a Champions League. They automatically get a Champions League group stage spot. The 2nd spot went to PSG, the reigning Champions League runners-up after losing to Bayern in 2020. They made it to the Champions League semifinals, or they made it to the semifinals, and then they ended up losing to Manchester City, to give a little bit more background. But that's where PSG is at the moment. They were still unable to finish with the Ligue 1 title. This is the first time in a bit that they haven't won Ligue 1 since, I think, Kylian Mbappe was at Monaco. But finishing ahead of PSG was Lille. Lille had a very great start, middle, and end of the season. They finished at the very top. One of the biggest stats that really kind of gave away the season there, they gave away 23 goals in the 38 matches that they played. They were by far the best defensive team in France. And when it came down to it, they scored 22 less goals than PSG, but they allowed 5 less goals. So that ended up being the difference. They only ended up winning the Ligue 1 by 1 point. It was a win. It was a league win that they most definitely needed, and they did not expect to win it. The fact that they won it, it was a very big accomplishment for Lille to do so. And looking at the players that went on to lead the Ligue 1 in scoring, there were 4 players in Ligue 1 that finished with 16 goals. That tied for 4th place. From Strasbourg, Ludovic Ajorque finished with 16. Same with Kevin Volland from Monaco. Barranc Yilmaz from Lille and Gaetan Laborda Laborda came from Montpellier and Yilmaz from Lille. They all finished with 16 goals on the season. Tying for 2nd in the league, there were 3 players in Ligue 1 with 20 goals this season. From Monaco, Wissam Ben Yedder finished with 20 goals on the season. Same with Memphis Depay from Olympique Lyonnais. And then the league leader in the Ligue 1 in goal scoring was Kylian Mbappe, who finished with 27 on the year. Of course, this is yet another year in which he finished with the Golden Boot in the Ligue 1. Looking at the leaders in assists this year, tied for 4th, you had 4 players with 9 of them. You have Alexander Golovkin from Monaco, Andy Delort from Montpellier, Jonathan Bamba from Lille, and Angel Di Maria, the elite Uruguayan center attacking mid, or the elite Argentinian center attacking mid for PSG. Sitting 2nd was Zinedine Ferhat from Nimes and Dimitri Payet from Marseille. They both finished with 10. And leading the league in assists was Memphis Depay, who had 12 assists alongside his 20 goals. He was the only player in Ligue 1 that finished in the top 5 in both. He finished in the top 2 in both. Finishing with a 20 and 12 season, a very historic season for the books. And then looking at who led the Ligue-1 in clean sheets, the leader was Mike Maignan. He was the Lille the goalkeeper. He finished with 21 clean sheets in his 38 matches. That's 55% of the games he played. Second was Keylor Navas, who had 16 clean sheets in the 29 games he played, with a slightly smaller percentage than Maignan, but he played 9 less games, but that's still an incredible from him. Third in the league was Benoit Costil from Bordeaux, who had 14. Benjamin Lecomte from Monaco finished fourth with 13 clean sheets on the season, and Anthony Lopez from Olympique Lyonnais finished with 11 on the season. And that is, so those are the stats leaders, and that's how the table is going to work. I want to congratulate Lille for an amazing 2020-2021 season, and that is officially what French soccer is looking like at the conclusion of this season. And following Euros, it looks as though French soccer is right to get right back out there. I want to thank everyone for listening to all 10 and a half, 11 minutes of this piece. I want to thank you for sticking along with me through this entire 2020-21 season. I hope all is well. And I will get ready and I'll be ready for this next 2021-2022 season when it starts up in August. Thanks once again for listening to my piece. Once again, today is Monday, May 24th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I want to thank everyone for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and peace out. I'll catch you with another episode tomorrow once all today's matchups and exhibitions are completed. Once again, thanks for listening to my piece, and peace out.